Bhavavarman I, the founder of the Chenla dynasty. History is rarely a peaceful transfer of power. More often, a great empire only collapses when a new, daring, and ambitious force rises from the shadows to deliver the decisive blow. Such is the story of the dawn of the kingdom of Chenla and the beginning of the glorious Khmer civilization. In previous episodes, we explored the Funan Empire, a maritime power that had dominated the Mekong Delta for centuries. But by the middle of the 6th century, this empire had grown old, divided, and weak. And from the north, from lands that were once mere vassals, a new aristocratic lineage emerged, ready to seize the legacy of Funan. Welcome back to the History of Southeast Asia series. In this episode, we will delve into the life and career of one of the most important yet mysterious figures of the Pre-Angkorian period, King Bhavavarman I, the man who laid the foundations for the kingdom of Chenla. Part 1. The historical context, the twilight of Funan. To understand the rise of Bhavavarman I, we must first understand the decline of Funan. At the beginning of the 6th century, after the death of its last powerful king, Bhavavarman I, in the year 514, Funan fell into a civil war over the succession to the throne. King Rudravarman, an illegitimate son, usurped the throne and ruled during a period of great instability. Chinese historical records, particularly the Book of Sui, record that by the mid-6th century, Funan had become extremely weak. The power of the central court had waned, and its vassal states began to rebel. Real power no longer lay in the bustling seaports of the south, but was gradually shifting to the indigenous Khmer power centers in the north, people who had long been a part of the Funan Empire, but had retained their own identity and ambitions. It was in this context of chaos and power transition that a principality in the north, known in Chinese histories as Chenla, saw its opportunity. They were the Khmer people, and they were ready to become the new masters of the land. Part 2. The founder of a dynasty, origins, and a fateful marriage. The central figure of this rise to power was Bhavavarman I. His origins remain a subject of debate among historians. Some theories suggest he may have been a descendant of King Rudravarman of Funan himself, or belonged to a rival royal branch. But the most widely accepted theory, based on inscriptions, is that he came from an aristocratic lineage in the middle Mekong region, possibly around the area of Vat Phao in modern-day southern Laos. Bhavavarman I did not act alone. At his side was an equally important figure, his brother or cousin, named Chitrasena. The two brothers formed a powerful alliance, one a politician and the other a brilliant military commander. But Bhavavarman I's most potent weapon, in the beginning, was not the sword, but a strategic marriage. He married Princess Cambodian Lakshmi, a princess from the legitimate royal line of Funan. This was a move of political genius. With this marriage, Bhavavarman accomplished two things simultaneously. Legitimized his power. He was no longer just a rebel chieftain from the north, but a legitimate member of the Funanese royal family through marriage. He had the right to inherit and rule over the lands of Funan. Attracted support. This marriage likely helped him gain the support of a segment of the Funanese aristocracy, who may have been dissatisfied with the usurper King Rudravarman. From this solid position, Bhavavarman I and Chitrasena began their conquest around the year 550 AD. Part 3. The Great Conquest, the pincer movement of Bhavavarman and Chitrasena. The conquest of Funan was not a single battle, but a process that lasted many years, a complex war on multiple fronts. The two brothers, Bhavavarman and Chitrasena, coordinated perfectly, forming a pincer movement against the weakening empire. Bhavavarman I's attack. As the political leader, Bhavavarman I focused on attacking and capturing the old power centers of Funan in the Mekong Delta. He targeted the capital city, Viadhapura, the heart of the empire. His campaigns were aimed at overthrowing the old dynasty and establishing direct control over the most fertile lands. Chitrasena's attack. Meanwhile, Chitrasena, a formidable general, led military campaigns in the north and northwest, along the middle Mekong region. His objective was to subdue the other vassal states of Funan and to expand Chenla's territory, ensuring that no other power could challenge them from behind. Chitrasena's own later inscriptions recount his conquests in the Mun River region and up to the borders of the Dvaravati kingdom. By the end of the 6th century, the conquest was nearly complete. The Funan Empire had totally collapsed. Bhavavarman I had become the king of an expanded Chenla, a new state that had completely replaced Funan as the dominant power in the region. He moved the center of power northward, possibly to the area of Sambor Pre Kuk, signaling a major shift in the kingdom's orientation. Part 4. The Founder's Legacy. A new kingdom, a new identity. Bhavavarman I was not just a conqueror. He was also the one who laid the foundations for the identity of the Chenla kingdom, an identity that would become the precursor to the Angkor Empire. Politically, he replaced the loose maritime empire model of Funan with a landed state model, more focused on agriculture and territorial control. This was a structural change that reshaped the entire economy and society. Religiously, Bhavavarman I was a devout follower of Shaivism, the cult of the god Shiva. His inscriptions often record him erecting lingas and making donations to temples of Shiva. His patronage made Shaivism the state religion of Chenla, and the god-king model associated with Shiva became the ideological foundation for Khmer kings for centuries to come. Culturally and artistically, his reign marks the beginning of the Pre-Angkorian art style. While still influenced by India, the art of the Chenla period began to express stronger, more solid, and more static indigenous characteristics compared to the art of Funan. This was the period when the Khmer identity began to be clearly asserted in art. However, Bhavavarman I's legacy was still incomplete. When he died around the year 600 AD, the kingdom was not yet fully stable. Rebellions could still occur, and the work of unification needed to be continued. Part 5. The Succession and the Immortal Legacy. Fortunately, Bhavavarman I had a worthy successor, his own brother, Chitrasena. After Bhavavarman I's death, Chitrasena ascended the throne and took the reign named Mahendravarman. He continued the conquests, consolidated the kingdom, and left his own mark on history. So what is the historical role of Bhavavarman I? He was the initiator, the catalyst, the man who delivered the decisive blows to overthrow an old order that had existed for over 500 years. He was the one who laid the first bricks for the kingdom of Chenla, the kingdom that would become the cradle of the Angkorian civilization. His marriage created a new royal lineage, and his conquests created a new territory. Although it was later kings like Isanavarman I or Jayavarman I who would truly build and consolidate the empire, it was Bhavavarman I who opened the path for them. He was the founding king, the man who turned the ambition of a vassal state into reality, giving birth to a glorious new chapter in the history of the Khmer people and of all of Southeast Asia. Thank you for watching.